Start.
Okay, first I'll tell you over something interesting. Somebody just told me, there was just somebody in my house. This is not something I prepared. We were discussing a couple different things on the Parsha. So we were discussing that in Parshas Boy this week, the mitzvah of the Torah, Chodesh Hazeh Lachem. So all the Balei Musar and all the Mefarshim speak about what we take out of this week's Parsha is the koyach of a beginning, the koyach of a hischatshus, of a renewal. So he asked me a good question. He said, the truth of the matter is, wouldn't it be more of a renewal if every month the moon blew up and then they started a new moon? Why is it considered a hischatshus? The fact of the matter is, we know that the moon is there exactly what it is. Just happens to be the sun shines in a different angle, or whatever, and there's more light on the moon, everything. But the real koyach of hischatshus would be to start something new, a totally new thing. That's what hischatshus is. So he told me over. He said that he heard from one of his rabbeim that the word of hischatshus is that some people think that in order to renew yourself, you have to destroy everything, and the only way to do it is with a whole big shindig and a whole big thing that you have to destroy everything and start again. He said what it's teaching us is that the koyach of hischatshus is no, you're the same person, and you're the same person that you were last week. With all your problems, with all the things that you went through, you're still able to start again, and you're still able to renew yourself. That's what the moon is showing you. It's still the same thing that's there, but the same thing that's there is still able to change and still able to renew yourself. But now on to a little bit what I just wanted to say about at the end of the Parsha. The Yidden finally leave Mitzrayim. We go through Arbe, Choshech, Matnas, Bechoros, and finally the Rebbeinu Shalom gives the mitzvah of Korban Pesach. And we see that it says that you have to eat the Korban Pesach in haste. In other words, everything took so long. There were 10 makkos you went through, from Dam to Makkos Bechoros and everything, and all of a sudden the Rebbeinu Shalom said you were going to have the mitzvah Korban Pesach, but you got to do it quickly and get out of here. You have to leave. So we know that what this symbolized, the fact that they had to leave Mitzrayim so quickly, what it symbolized is that the Yidden were hanging around in the last of the the lowest of the Menta Shari Tumah, the 49 Shari Tumah, and you know it's brought down from the Zohar that they weren't just in the Menta Shari Tumah, they were hanging precariously, very very close to falling into the last, below the Memta Shari Tumah, and once that would have happened, it would not have been able to be a Geula anymore. So now, the Yidden was so close, it was so close to happening that they couldn't have a Geula, that the Rebbeinu Shalom told them that you're about to fall, you have to, right now, you have to leave Mitzrayim. You have to do, everything has to be done quickly, and you have to leave Mitzrayim right now. Agav, it's interesting, there's a beautiful Reb Tzadok HaKohen on this week's Parsha. He says that from here we learn a very important life's lesson from the fact that the Rebbeinu Shalom told the Yidden that they had to leave Mitzrayim right away. So sometimes people have problems, people have things that they're going through, that they have trouble with a certain item in their life, with the Yetzer Hara, and one day they get an inspiration to extricate themselves from this matzah, whatever they're in. He says, Reb Tzadok HaKohen says, he brings it down in the Tzidkas of Tzaddik, the beginning, he says that the first thing a person has to do when you have an inspiration, or an emotional inspiration, is to do it right away. Afterwards, you have to take yourself out of the equation. You have to remove yourself from the nisayon. If you have that inspiration, you have to do it right away. Afterwards, he said the way a person goes about growth is something that you do slowly. Once you remove yourself from the problem, you move yourself from a taiva that you have, you move yourself from that Yetzer Hara, then slowly you can start to grow. But the actual leaving has to be done quickly. He says, and we see that from this week's parsha. Because the Yidden were going to grow, and they had to take some time until they were able to be makabel the Torah and all those things. But now, this was the opportunity to leave. This was the opportunity to get out of sinking below the Memta Shari Tumah. That second, it had to be done. So there's a question that many Mefarshim ask over here also, is why is it that the Rebbeinu Shalom waited until they were in the Memtesh Shari Tumah, and then at the last second he decided that now it's time to take them out. Why not after 47? They were pretty low after 46, 47, 48. Why wait and take the chance that maybe it won't be on time, and maybe they'll slip below, and they won't be able to get out of Mitzrayim? Why did Moshe wait so long? So this is something we discussed a couple of weeks ago, and I just want to mention it again. It's brought down from the Divrei Shmuel. The Nesiv Shalom brought down from the Divrei Shmuel. We mentioned a couple of weeks ago that, remember, we gave a mashal to a seed that someone puts in the ground. And in order for a seed to grow, it has to be just at the right time. You know, as the seed, it disintegrates and disintegrates and disintegrates. But right before it rots, when it's at the last possible second, and if you leave it, and it's not in the right climate, and you leave it just one more second, the seed rots, and that's it. It's finished. You'll never see anything from it. And again, if you don't leave it long enough, and you don't let it sit there and disintegrate enough, also you'll never see something. The power that you have, the power that the seed has, is just in the last second before it totally rots away. So Zakta Divrei Shmuel, that's what happened in Mitzrayim. That's what was going on. The biggest potential for growth in the Yidden, and the biggest potential for growth of a Yid always comes from that time, just that moment right before he sinks into a point that he'll never be able to recover. And it's at that moment, Gufa, that you're able to build and grow from that. Just to add one more thing, there's a beautiful S.S.S. at the end of the Parsha. S.S.S. says that the reason why the Yidden had to wait and go through all the Shari Tumah before they got out of Mitzrayim, he compares it to when you immunize a child. He says, what do? How does an immunization work? An immunization, when you inoculate someone for a disease, what happens is that you expose them to a little bit of this disease, not enough to make them sick, but just enough that you build up your immune system, your antibodies, and the next time you meet such a thing, you don't get sick from it. So Dr. S.S.S, that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu was doing to the Yidden Mitzrayim. He let them go through the Memtesh Shari Tumah because this was a preparation for the Yidden to go on to Kabbalas HaTorah, to go on into Golus, to go on to build the Beis HaMikdash, to go on to build Yerushalayim. This was the preparation for later on. So he was preparing them for later generations, that if they ever come across such a Nisayan again, it won't totally destroy them and it won't affect them. So only Rabban Shalom knows that point where it doesn't affect the person too much, but you have enough of dose of whatever they had to get in Mitzrayim to carry them all through the Gullus. So I was telling this word over to somebody once. So he said to me, so listen, so let me try it. Let me just try a little of everything I wanted to try. And then listen, when I get older, I won't fall into Yetzirahs enough. This is the point of inoculation, the point of this only the Rebbeinu Shalom knows. The person can't take into his own hands and say, I'm going to try a little bit of every Isser, but not too much, but just a little bit, so if I ever actually have the Nisayin, it doesn't work that way. This is something only the Rebbeinu Shalom could gauge. And this is a chesed he did for us, that he let us stay in Mitzrayim to become immune to certain things, to carry us through all the generations. And that's why we had to wait until the last second. But when it came to the last second, then Ba'achaltem Ma'isa B'chipazon. The Rebbeinu Shalom said, now, you have to leave right now, because if you fall any further, you won't be able to be a Gula.